Your mama ain't your problem, Raquel. You are.
So this was season 1, when Rock went to church and asked her mom, "Do you ever think about how I ended up the way I did?" And everything we're now seeing play out in season 2. Rock's mom warned us, she's her own problem. Rock's arrogance, need for power and control is making her lose a lot of people, and unfortunately the only thing that will probably make her realize her mistakes is if it results in a death of one of the Thomases. She's taken this need for control to a whole new level in season 2. But as with everything, actions have consequences, and she really is creating her own problems. Now, Rock's downfall is very similar to Ghost's, and where she's in a position where she's creating enemies left, right and center. And if we were to rewind it back to power, we had Ghost, who was creating a lot of enemies towards the end of his time, even though he thought he was in a position where nothing could stop him from winning.
So you gotta stay out of my way. Cause I swear to God, Tasha, nothing is gonna stop me.
And I think this is a position that Rock's in. She wants to win. She wants to win at any cost, and nothing's gonna stop her from winning. Not Detective Howard, Unique, or the Italian Mafia. And so, with the way Ghost's story ended, it really is hard not to see an ending very similar for Rock. So in this video, we're gonna run through 5 hidden moves that Rock could potentially have made, which is why we'll eventually see her downfall and potentially her being killed. Now, just before we get into the 5 hidden power moves by Rock, we do have to mention Rock was mentioned very briefly in season 2 episode 2 of Power. Now, at the time, I highly doubt the writers would have had the Kanan prequel in mind, and considering of how much of a pathological liar Rock is, no doubt that would have been passed down to Kanan. But will the writers be aware of what was said in season 2? Of course they will. But just have a look at the way Rock is behaving. Can you realistically say this is someone who's surviving? I don't think so. So in my opinion, Rock will most likely meet her end at some point in raising Kanan, which probably means Kanan went to go visit her grave. And with that being said, let's start with the first hidden move. Now, we were introduced to Rock in 1985 as the mother of Kanan Stark. She took over Queens after DEFCON was sent down and after High Post was killed. But it was High Post who was the one who introduced her into the game. But just a year later, he was burned alive for being a snitch.
Post will be dead in a year. Someone lit his ass on fire for telling.
Now, what we've learned about Rock is so far, she's her own queen, she's her own boss, and we haven't seen her take her orders from anyone yet. Not from Unique, not from her own brothers, and definitely not from the Italian Mafia. We also saw what she did to Scrappy because she thought he was a snitch. She killed him in a building near Rockaway Boulevard, and unlike Ghost, she wasn't fazed one bit. She showed no emotion as she pulled the trigger on a man who'd been in the game with them since he was 10 years old. So coming back to High Post, who had the most to gain from his death? Who was the next in line to take over? Rock. Now, when we were introduced to Marvin, he was someone who was always treated differently. He never had the respect of Rock and Lou, and it started with what happened back in the day. He was using, and he was selling out of his own crib, which landed up with him having to do a bid in Elmira for a brief period. But Marvin believes he was set up.
Marvin, you ever think that maybe if you kept better secrets back in the day, you wouldn't have done that whole bid in Elmira? I got set up.
Now, he's a character who's shown us a lot of layers in season 2, showing us he's not just aggressive, he's smart. So again, I asked the question, who had the most to gain from Marvin going to prison? Rock. Now, Unique said this game isn't for the broads, so being a woman in a man's world, Rock understands that she needs to show this tough exterior, which is why we see Rock kneeling to no man. It's her way and only her way, and she needs to assert this level of ferociousness and domination, and this is what Rock has wanted from day one. But from day one, she was never in a relationship with DEFCON. She was just his cover because he was into men, which wasn't really accepted back in the day. But what she was doing was sleeping with a cop, Detective Howard, and we've seen Rock go to him to get rid of Unique's re-ups once before. And it goes back to the question, if DEFCON was the one who was running Southside back in the day, who had something to gain from him being locked away? A similar move that she made with Unique. Again, the answer is Rock. So not only do I believe she got rid of High Post and moved Marvin out the way so she could take over the family organization, I think she could have been responsible for DEF CON going away as well, with Detective Howard's help, because we've all seen how controlling and power hungry she is, and she really is a character who really is willing to do whatever's necessary, even if it means using her own son to kill his biological father. So let's talk about keeping Kanan away from Howard and Duke away from Kenya. Now, they do say some try and avoid the truth because it can actually be ugly and unpleasant, but that doesn't apply to Kanan or Duke. They want to hear the truth, and if they're not going to get it from Rock, then they're going to go and find it themselves. Now, Howard being Kanan's father isn't exactly a hidden move, because we all know as the audience, but Kanan's never been sure, and with Rock continuing to lie over and over, I don't think Kanan's buying it, even after his talk with Vernon Stark. Kanan in this scene was thinking, whatever you say isn't enough, and him going to Howard's at the end of episode 4 really does have Rock sweating. Now, just imagine a scenario where Rock never had Kanan. What do you think she could have achieved? Because during the 3 months where she sent Kanan away to go and live with Aunt Deb in Virginia, she built this whole new sophisticated way of doing business off the streets, and she took over Queens. And it is scary to think what Rock could have been if Kanan wasn't around, but he is, and he's one of Rock's biggest weaknesses. Now, looking at Duke, let's rewind it back to 1985, because it's clear that Rock raised Duke for a large part of her life. It's also why when Kanan was attacked as a kid, the first question Rock asked was, where was Jukebox? Because she's the one who's raised Duke to be this tough, no-nonsense woman in a man's world. But similar to how she's been keeping Kanan from Howard, she's been keeping Duke from Kenya, and it was written all over Rock's face in episode 4, when Duke said she saw her mom.
But she never thought to come find you. Just because you blood with somebody don't mean they deserve to be in your life.
So whether or not she had a part to play in Kenya leaving, which I think she did, she definitely is trying to play her part in keeping Duke far away from Kenya, and it all comes down to control. And it's not just Kanan she wants control over, but every single one of them. Now, one of the biggest issues Rock has, besides Kanan and Duke looking for answers, is Lulu. Lulu's been focused on music ever since he killed D-Wiz, and even more so in season 2. He's late for meetings, he's been turning down work from Rock, and he doesn't agree with her expanding into the Italian's turf. Now, Crown shares Rock's annoyance because he wants to get rid of Lou from the label, and it was no coincidence he sold the soundboard. This was a deliberate play by both Crown and Rock, because they knew Lou would have to come to Rock for money, and so in exchange, she made sure when she calls, he answers, and it's always family business first instead of music. So this was a very subtle hint, but definitely another power move from Rock to have more control over Lou, and I'm just waiting until he finds out, because Crown promised Rock she could clean her money through the label, but Lou wants this clean and legit. So this is something they're gonna come head to head with very soon. And that's a breakdown of 5 potential power moves from Rock, which have been in front of us this entire time. And is it time for Rock to get a bit of her own medicine? Because I really do find myself rooting for Unique, and I want him to get back what's his. So drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. And of course, if you are new to the channel and you haven't done so already, then remember to smash the subscribe button if you want to see everything Power Book 3 and Power Universe related. But as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.